Natural Born Coaches is sponsored by Get It Together Masterminds. You'll get 9 times the prospects to raise their hands and ask for more information from you when you have a risk reversal or guarantee in your business. Get It Together Masterminds will show you how to do it in a free report that they're now giving away at naturalborncoaches.com/risk reversal. Again, grab your free report today at naturalborncoaches.com/risk reversal.
Welcome to the Natural Born Coaches podcast, the place where smart coaches come to grow their businesses. Ready to take your coaching to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Mark Mawhinney.
Hey coaches, welcome back to another episode of Natural Born Coaches, the podcast for your coaching business. I'm Mark Mawhinney, and before we begin, a reminder to check out my exclusive hard copy newsletter, Secret Coach Club. It's full of exclusive information and advice to help you get more coaching clients and grow your business delivered right to your door every month. You can get the details at secretcoachclub.com. That's secretcoachclub.com. Okay, today's episode, we're going to focus on something that this has really been on top of my mind, especially the last couple of years. Anyone who's listened to the show knows that I am not a fan of cancel culture. Yeah. So anyone following my stuff knows that. I hate that here in 2021. And I just wish cancel culture would be canceled. But we've never done an actual episode devoted solely to cancel culture. We've touched on it briefly in other episodes, but this one we're going to be chatting about cancel culture. And it's going to have a positive spin because my guest today was actually fought off attempts to be canceled by some kooky people. And he pivoted and he is thriving and has a huge following. And so he basically batted away those challenges of cancel culture. My guest today is Dr. Jason Dean. He's a doctor of natural health, a doctor of chiropractic and advanced nutrition response testing doctor with a mission to help people get well using food as a lifestyle. He operates one of the world's largest practices, that's Palmer Natural Health. He's a founder of Brave TV, and that's all about helping educate people on health, wealth, and freedom. And we're going to talk about all that stuff here today and cancel culture. So Dr. Dean, thank you for stopping by.
Hey, Mark, I appreciate the opportunity to get more of the word out. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for everything you're doing, because people like you, it's not just me, people like you going out and giving a message like this is what literally changes the world. So thanks for all you're doing.
Well, your name came up. I had Jeremy Slade on the show recently, and he was telling me about how you fought off cancel culture. So, I mean, full disclosure, like obviously these are crazy times with a lot of strong opinions around COVID, lockdowns and vaccines and masks and personal liberties and all this other stuff. But as I was saying to you before we started recording, regardless of people agree with you or not, I think they can learn something from this. And people who don't agree with you should probably be careful, because cancel culture can turn really quickly and bite them in the behind too. So I'm kind of all for free speech. I think that you should put ideas out there and then you decide if you agree with them or not. I'm not comfortable when people's ideas are being silenced or if they're being slapped with, okay, well, it's misinformation or whatever, just to discredit them without actually hearing them out. So as we jump into this, can you tell us first off a little bit more about your journey and how you got here today?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I'll brief it just because it can be a long one, but because in your mind, you realize all the stuff you went through. But I grew up regular kid for the most part, divorced parents, a little bit of a stressful life. My mom was a alcoholic, dabbled in drugs. Good mom, though. She took care of me, but she kind of led that second life. And I had to grow up fast because my parents were divorced and it was messy. And so I had to grow up fast. I matured fast. So even when I was a little kid, like I felt like I was always trying to think ahead. And no one in my family had ever gone to college or school or anything like that necessarily. And so I knew from an early age, I remember taking food stamps out of a little booklet when I was like, 15, 14 years old at a store. And my mom sent me to get the groceries. And I remember going in my head, I felt like totally embarrassed, ashamed. And I knew that I never wanted to be poor again, not for the fact of like, oh, I need lots and lots of money to like be frivolous with. It was more of just that feeling of, being watched or looked at kind of thing. And so I drove myself into college. I had a sports business degree. I ended up working in a software company. doing pretty well right out of school, traveled the country, worked with the NFL, Major League Baseball, college football, like a lot of stuff. But throughout that, I was dealing with anxiety, dealing with some panic attacks, mild depression. I was dealing with heart attack symptoms and a lot of stuff going on. But I'm in my mid-20s, 25, 26, 27 years old. And it was getting bad. Like I would go to sleep at night, kind of scared I wasn't going to wake up because so much chest pressure, anxiety, panic attack, etc. And I realized that something was wrong. So I went in, cardiologist said, oh, you have nothing. You have nothing. You have anxiety. They sent me to a psychiatrist. They saw me 2 times, asked me some questions, gave me a test to take, multiple choice. I ranked like 98th percentile of ADD, ADHD, and they gave me Zoloft and Adderall. I took it home, took 1 pill of each. I'd never done a drug in my life, so I don't know what high is. But I took them and it didn't feel good. And I knew what I was already feeling didn't feel good, but this really didn't feel good. And so I stopped it right away because I'm like, that can't be normal. And, I feel divinely led in life. I just feel you find your purpose and you go through life led. And I end up with my wife, who was already in natural health, chiropractic, nutrition, et cetera. And I moved to Florida and I told her my problems. And she goes, okay, let's go to a cardiologist just to get peace of mind, but we're not going to do what they say because you're going to follow what I do. And I said, okay. I went there. I ran stress tests, et cetera. I felt amazing with exercise. I went in, the doctor tried to give me medication. And I'm like, wait, but you didn't say anything about diet, which my wife talks about. You didn't say anything about exercise, mindset, anything. And then you just want to give me a drug. So I went home. My wife gets me off of carbs, sugar, gets me on protein, gets me on fat, gets me on good supplementation. And in a month and a half, all of those feelings I had all those years just start completely disappearing. And I realized, oh my gosh, there is a whole other life to be lived. And then I went from having to be on the paycheck in the corporate world to entrepreneurship. And fast forward, I'm here and literally every day is just evolving into a bigger and bigger journey. And now it's okay. I was helped by somebody. Now I have to help as many people as possible. And that's kind of how I ended up where I am now.
Awesome. So your wife had your back. That's a chiropractic joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go. So of course, everyone or most people's lives changed dramatically once 2020 hit, including yours. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about why we're talking here today. What happened in early 2020 that brought you here?
Yeah. And so I end up in that world of healthcare. And I'm going to be very transparent here because usually you get doctors on who are like, I'm not anti-vaccination. I'm not like this and this and this. I will tell you right up front, I am one of those crazy, radical anti-vax mentalities. And I'm just being transparent because some people, I'm not saying it to push people away so they don't listen. I'm saying it because I want to be upfront. I'm not going to hold it back. I've seen too many kids damaged. I've seen too many adults damaged. I help those kids on a daily basis. I help moms come in crying their eyes out after their kid's been damaged. And so when 2020 hit, I'd been studying this depopulation New World Order agenda for 10 plus years. And I never, Mark, in a million years expected this to play out this way right now. We're almost 2 years into this thing and people are still just starting to wake up. And like, when you believe a government can do this to you and force you to put a medical procedure that they won't even tell you about into your body and they're not liable for it, I had to speak out. And so the night our President Trump at the time, said, hey, no more traffic from international countries, no more airlines, March Madness gets shut down, cruises get shut down, et cetera. Looked at my wife and I went, oh my God, it's here. Like, this is like, this is what we're going to be. This is what we're dealing with. And I had something flipped. I'd already been doing podcasts and live stuff, throughout the years with other people, but never with the purpose that I went, you know what? I have to go tell people what's happening because I know what's happening. We know what's happening. And I went on and again, divinely led, people just started showing up on the live stream. And then I was like, okay, well, I have to go back tomorrow and tell them what to do. Like, I was doing podcasts, but it was only like once, maybe twice a week, an interview.
Were these live streams? Was this Facebook or something else?
It was Facebook. I think I started just Facebook because I had a pretty big following on Facebook because I was already, out there. I was already outspoken and they hadn't touched us at that point yet. And so I started there and then I'm like, in my head, I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also a marketer. Okay. Because I came from that background. I go, I have to get this out to more people because we have to educate as many people. So then I started hitting the YouTube, hitting Twitter, et cetera, and started building and building and building. I started an email list because I'm like, I even knew ahead of time, they're going to take us down at some point. I even told the audience almost daily basis, they're going to take us down. Go to this website, put in your information, because if it all shuts down, the only way you're going to hear from me, because it became a following. It's a tribe. They wanted more information. So
yeah, you own that email list too. Now I know there's some servers, I don't know who you're with, but MailChimp is starting to get a little bit scary with, policing stuff. That's worrisome. But
I started ActiveCampaign and I download and back up pretty much every single week.
Got it. Okay. So sorry to interrupt, but I think
that's okay. That's okay. It's a great question. Everything was going great. All was good until I want to say summer. I don't remember the exact date. Summer. I actually had another doctor on and we started talking about some really, really deep stuff, Pentagon, even, off-world, off-planet stuff and things like that. And, some conspiracy, but some just, entertaining, and people had questions and I'd studied for a long time. Next day, I went to log into my Facebook, banned. And not just banned like, hey, you're in jail, like totally banned, like you're not allowed back on kind of thing. And I was like, okay, game changed. Luckily before that, I had already pivoted and I had everything started to be set up in other platforms. And so it actually helped me, Mark. It didn't hurt me because now this is the beauty part of it. If the followers and the viewers were curious if I was telling the truth before that, they now knew I was absolutely telling the truth or I would not have been taken off. Does that make sense? And so that actually helped explode it even more.
Yeah, it's kind of like Barbara Streisand when she's building her new house on the coast and she basically put threats out, don't take pictures, paparazzi from the water and all this other stuff. Well, what happened? All of a sudden people who hadn't heard about Barbara Streisand's house, like, why is she so concerned about that? Let's go check it out.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time because they're like, well, why is there no media out there on what's going on? Why are people not speaking out about the medication, the lockdowns, the masks, the vaccine, et cetera? And I go, it's not that they're not speaking out. You have to take a cognizant look. Like you have to really go inside your mind and go, okay, first of all, why would a president of the United States be banned from a social media platform? That should alarm everybody, no matter what country they're in. Why was President Trump, whether you love him or hate him, and even if you despise him, no president or no leader or no person who is running or leading a nation like that should ever be banned. That's insane, right? Like that. So, and then if there's doctors being banned, I'm the type of person, I'm a contrarian a little bit. If someone's banned from somewhere, guess what I do? I want to know what they're saying. I don't go, oh, well, they must be bad. I better listen to the authorities. No, that's like burning a book. Like we burn this, that book is no longer allowed. Oh, really? What's in it? I want to go see. I may not agree with it, but I want to know what's in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mentioned you before we went on air, I'm actually reading a book called The Contrarian right now. It's about Peter Thiel and Silicon Valley, and it's by Max Chafkin. I think that's how you pronounce it. So highly recommend that book. It's been a really good read. So when did this happen? Or were we looking at a couple months, like June 2020, that everything went dark?
That was probably early summerish of 2020. And it was hilarious because I actually went on my wife's Facebook and kind of said, he's been banned, which spiraled more out of control because obviously people follow my wife as well. And so I actually, and I love because you're in business, you're in coaching and people are scared. How do you market? This is that whole thing of like, hey, take what you get and pivot. I always talk about the word pivot, like what is next? So the average person might go, oh my gosh, I'm banned. I just lost everything. They're not going to find me. Okay. Now make a big deal out of it. So I immediately email list, other social media. At the time, YouTube still had me up, Twitter. I went out there and I made not a joke about it, but I made a big deal. They just banned me. Like I'm not allowed to go back on Facebook ever again. I have a VPN now, so I have a hidden account so I can do some things, but I don't post right now. I'm not a timeline. I'm not a Facebook guy anymore. And it's been the greatest blessing of my life, I think, for the most part. But it's take the bad or take the barrier and go, okay, how can I turn this around and how can I actually make this work for me? And it popped in my mind. My greatest blessings are my wife and daughter, not getting banned from Facebook, but I want to add that.
Yeah.
But take your adversities. How can you take an adversity and make it a positive? And that's basically that's how I think about it every day. I don't want adversities. Obviously I want a straight line A to B, but we know that's not possible in anything in life. So turn it into something that will actually benefit you and help more people.
Yeah, you're turning shit into sugar.
Absolutely.
One of the things I try to do, and it's not always easy to remember, but I always try to look for the silver lining in anything. And when I was once just, writing down, journaling and stuff, looking at a bunch of hypothetical situations, and pretty much anything out there could be turned into a positive. Now, it may not seem so at the time. Take, for example, John Walsh, America's Most Wanted, the host of that for years. His son was kidnapped and brutally killed, right? It was just horrible. Every parent's worst nightmare. Looking at that, it's hard to say, okay, you could turn this into a positive. But look at what he did since. Like, I don't know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of lives, at least thousands, that he saved from what he's done with hosting that show and all his other efforts with it. So there's an extreme example, someone who gets diagnosed with 6 months to live or something like that. You could probably turn it into a positive because that's going to be in a lot of ways, their best 6 months of their life, because they're not going to worry what other people are thinking. They're going to do what they want to do and knock bucket list items off.
And I believe I'm a creation guy. I'm a believer in God. I'm a faith-based person. I believe that's what we were supposed to. I believe that's what God wants you to do. You're going to get adversities thrown at you. Your job is not, he definitely doesn't want you to go home and sulk and, spend the rest of your life in depression. No. How can you take something like that and how can you impact and use that to help others? And that's that. And again, that's why what Walsh did. He imagine his child looking down on him, or however it works, going, wow, my dad took something like that and he helped millions of other families.
Yeah. Another great book around this point. I don't know if you've read Green Lights, Matthew.
No, but that looks like a good book.
Excellent book. I have the audio version as well. I'm showing it to Jason. You guys can't see the video, so I'm holding up the book Green Lights. But that book, it's part memoir, part self-help, just really fascinating book because he's journaled for like 35 years of his life or something. And he took the lessons from that. And a lot of what he talks about in that book is stuff that looked to be bad at the time, like losing out in a certain role or something happens, ended up turning into a positive. So there's another book recommendation. I'm not an affiliate, for any of these books I'm mentioning today, but just some interesting ones that I'm reading. So I'm curious, was your wife affected in any way once your stuff was pulled down, or did they leave her alone?
No, they mostly left alone. She still has her accounts up, not for entertainment, but mostly just because she educates on this stuff as well. We're on the same page as a family. So her stuff is all up, but I'll tell you, the crazy part was she posted just a meme on Facebook, literally just like a mom putting a mask on a kid. And it says basically like, why am I doing this? Because I don't have the courage to stand up or something like that. And it literally was just a meme. It wasn't even anything. It wasn't calling anybody a bad person. It was literally just making a meme about it. And she just showed me the other day, like they gave her a warning for that, saying that's not allowed here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So she's gotten her hand slapped a few times, and we're already working on her because she has her brand as well for moms. And we're already ahead of schedule of going, okay, you have a website, you have a following here on these other social media platforms, blogging, et cetera. And that's the business part of this, and not business to make money, but businesses and influencers to help people. You have to be 10 steps ahead of the system. And that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurs, because I'm not just a doctor, I'm also an entrepreneur. And my entrepreneurship is not about, hey, money's nice, but I need to impact as many people as humanly possible. The same with my wife. Her purpose is to impact as many people as possible about helping them with their health, helping them with life, et cetera. So it is our duty to pivot. It is our duty to find out, okay, where's the next channel? How can I help more people? And then also bring people with us, because, hey, if they're suppressing me on a Facebook or a Twitter or YouTube or her, I don't want them suppressing the people who follow us who want information. So I also need to work on getting them somewhere else to where they have freedom.
Got it. So the morning after everything happened, you had your email list already rolling. So that was set up. What was the next step? Did you have Telegram going right away, or was there?
I had Telegram pretty early on. And then basically I just started pushing emails together. I went to like places like Rumble, which I've had Rumble going for a while now, BitChute, things like that. And I also, though, had my own website where I live stream to my website as well. So no matter, I've already told people, if everything got shut down tomorrow, I own my own channel, my own network. I live stream to my channel with a chat on it, chat function. So if everything folds, get on my email list and then go to the website. And that's where everything is streaming. And I even tell them, I'm like, buy my products, buy my services, because what you're buying there is not just a product and service. You're buying the foundation that we're building to create a better world, because you'll always be able to come back to here, to this platform, to be educated and to help others.
Got it. So for anyone who's not familiar, Rumble, BitChute, so on, essentially alternatives to YouTube. Is that right? Video?
Yeah, Rumble and BitChute. And I'll be honest with you, Telegram is doing a great job. They now live stream on Telegram. So they're all becoming basically a Facebook, YouTube, Twitter alternative all in one, which is really cool.
Yeah. Now back to, I guess cancel culture has been here the whole time for this conversation. But a couple of years back, I remember watching Dave Chappelle's Netflix special. Did you watch that?
Yep.
So, God, I know I'll get angry tweets and stuff about this. I thought, it was hilarious. Now, it wasn't politically correct, but my thought at the time, because I was chatting with people about it and I had posted about it, was regarding the uproar with it. If you don't like it, then don't watch it.
Right.
There's lots of stuff that I don't like on Netflix and elsewhere, and I just choose not to watch it. I don't, it doesn't really affect me and drain my energy. Do you see this changing? Like, we're in 2021. Maybe it's the optimist in me that I hope that a lot more people are starting to realize, hey, this cancel culture is scary stuff, and speaking out against it. But do you see this getting better, or do you think it's going to get even worse?
I see it all. I see their entire agenda imploding over the next year, personally, because I think people are waking up, but it's not just because people are waking up. What's happening is, and I always go back to this, the entrepreneur, the business person who is ethical and moral is the one that's going to collapse this. I was just this weekend, I was at a Funnel Hacking Live conference with Russell Brunson, but he also had Garrett J. White, who is powerful. And then they finished off with Tony Robbins. And I was in a room with 5,000 people, something like that, all entrepreneurs, all different faiths, creeds, religions, looks, etc. And 99%, no masks, no vaccines, no anything. And they might have different opinions on things. I just know from talking to many of them, all of them believe in helping the world through their product or service. And the reason I know this whole thing is going to fold in on these globalists, the bad guys, let's say, is because the entrepreneurs are always 5-10 steps ahead. And as long as people follow us, and they will, because we put the marketing out there for them to follow us, and not follow us like a cult following, more of follow the education, follow the information, follow the data. And when they do that, people are waking up. And the entrepreneurs, the business people, the innovators, no matter what nation you're from, I don't care, Canada, US, even Australia, it's going to fold up. It's going to implode on itself because they're going too fast. They're trying to push you guys. Like, at this point, I mean, I know not every Canadian's awake, but the US, we have our guns, but Canadians, Australians, people are going, wait a second, why is someone with a machine gun on the street trying to say wear a mask? Like, the entrepreneurs are the ones out there on social media going, this isn't right. Get this product, get this service. We're going to educate you on what you need to do and what freedom. It's free market economics. It's free market life. And that's why it's going to fail. And that's why we're going to win this thing.
Like a year or two ago, there was a letter in Harper's Magazine. 150 authors, journalists, activists signed a letter against cancel culture. Then there was an attempt to cancel the people who signed the letter against cancel culture. Now, these weren't the people you would think that would be in there. There were people from all over the political spectrum, but there were a lot of people from the left that would consider themselves probably quite far left that actually signed that, which gives me some hope. Even Barack Obama has talked about the dangers of cancel culture. So for everyone who's Obama fans, he recognizes it too. I think it's very dangerous if it's not a left or right debate or anything like that. that's, I think, wherever you stand politically, you should be concerned about this stuff. So you had Telegram going. Any other channels or that you could talk about? I don't want to out any of your,
No, that's fine.
Like the Rebel Alliance and Star Wars, you guys are fighting the Empire, and I don't want to out any of your secret plans.
It's fine. Please, at this point, Telegram seems and appears very safe, but I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm on Rumble. I go live on Twitch every day, things like that. But no matter what, if you want to end up in my world, you go to bravetv.com. You are on my channel. You can watch the content. We put up all the old videos, like basically the day out. We catch up every once in a while, but that's where you go. Like, I mean, Telegram is my biggest social media following right now because we content every single day, but the website, and it always goes back to that, like go to the site, get on the email list, and you will get content. So that's where I push people. I mean, I have a small Twitter thing, but it could get pulled tomorrow. I'm not working on building that. I work on building right now simply the healthcare services that I offer out there, the Telegram channel, because it's a free channel for people to go to, but also my website, which is also free. And we're building stuff every day. I have a whole team behind the scenes right now that's also building material. So I always tell this about cancel culture. They can push all they want to. I'm just going to beat them. And so are the rest of us.
So a lot of people listening to this show with their business, when they're putting out opinions, I know they hold back because they've told me, they're worried about their family members, their past employers, or maybe someone who sat next to them in grade 10 English class. What advice would you give for a coach who's pulling back from sharing any opinion that they think that it could offend some people or lose clients or subscribers? Do you have any tips that you would give them?
Do the complete opposite of what your fear tells you. And I will give you the most dramatic case. I'm in healthcare. I'm the guy who talks every day about shutting down the pharmaceutical and medical industrial complex. And I mean that. I'm going to bankrupt the entire system. I say that every day. I tell people how bad vaccines and medications are. It doesn't get as much hardcore as I do. And I'll be honest with you. Is there fear? There's a concern to watch everything around you, but I can't live that way. My job is I look at the little kid in front of me. I look at the parent in front of me that are struggling with their health. And I go, if I hold back, I'm being not only irresponsible to them, I'm being irresponsible in me and my connection to God. And that's who is pushing me to do this purpose. And the more I preach truth, Mark, literally every single day, the more truthful I get, to the point where some people go, why would you ever say that? Like, you're talking about your personal life. You're talking about, the more I push that, the bigger the following gets, the more people we help. So when you think, you have to get out of that fear mentality. What were you put here for? What is your gift? If you don't push that gift and that truth for you, it's not the people that will push you away. It's that whole spiritual energy around it you push away. You are here to push your purpose and your truth. And if you do that, it will never fail you.
Got it. So can you remind us once again, anyone that wants to check out your stuff, where is the best spot to find you?
Yeah. So you can go to bravetv.com. And honestly, if you want to go on Telegram, Rumble, and all the other channels, go to bravetv.com. I actually have a drop-down menu at the top that literally takes you to those channels. So bravetv.com is kind of the North Star.
The home base. Got it. Yep. Well, Jason, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad to see that cancel culture can be fought and people can survive and even thrive after. So congrats on that. And thanks for stopping by the show.
I appreciate everything, Mark. It was a blast, and keep doing the great work you're doing.
Alrighty, so we've had Dr. Jason Dean from Brave TV on the show today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Mawhinney, and I will see you next time on Natural Born Coaches. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Natural Born Coaches. And remember to check out Secret Coach Club at secretcoachclub.com. We'll see you next time.